First Contact Surprise. High Admiral Xenovor of the Galactic Council's First Contact Division watched the holographic display with growing unease. The uncharted world before them, designation Sol 3, appeared primitive at first glance. Scattered satellites orbited the blue-green planet, most of them using rudimentary radio communications. Ground-based telescopes tracked her fleet's approach with technology centuries behind galactic standard. Yet something felt wrong. Analysis complete, Admiral. Her science officer, Catal, reported. Atmospheric composition shows high levels of carbon emissions, consistent with early industrial development. We're detecting numerous armed conflicts across the surface. They haven't even achieved planetary unification. Xena's peripheral eyes narrowed while her main set remained fixed on the display. In 3 centuries of first contact missions, she'd never seen a species progress so unevenly. Their energy signatures suggested fusion power, yet they still burned fossil fuels. Their weapons utilized both gunpowder and directed energy. It was as if they deliberately maintained technologies from every stage of development. "Send the standard greeting package," she ordered. "Let's see how they respond to." Multiple launches detected. Catal's crystalline form pulsed with alarm. Projectiles rising from the surface. Xena's mandibles clicked in amusement. Primitive missiles were no threat to her fleet's shields. Hold position. Let them exhaust there. The projectiles vanished. Not exploded. Not intercepted. They simply ceased to exist mid-flight. Quantum fluctuation detected, Catal reported, their voice shifting to a higher frequency of concern. The missiles, they didn't impact our shields. They never existed in this timeline. Before Xena could process this impossibility, her fleet's systems began going dark. Not through any apparent attack, they simply stopped working, as if they'd never been activated in the first place. Only life support and basic gravity remained. A transmission cut through their disabled communications, broadcasting on frequencies that shouldn't have been possible with the planet's apparent level of technology. Galactic Council vessel. This is Earth Defense Command. The voice spoke perfect High Galactic, though the planet had never been contacted before. Your systems have been temporarily suspended via localized temporal manipulation. Please do not be alarmed. This is simply a security precaution until we can verify your intentions. Xena's bridge crew stared at her in shock. Temporal manipulation was theoretical even for the most advanced council races, yet these supposedly primitive humans wielded it with casual precision. "We've been monitoring your approach for some time," the transmission continued. "Your first contact protocols are admirable, but unnecessary. We've been aware of the Galactic Council for centuries. We simply chose not to announce ourselves until we were ready." A new hologram materialized on Xena's bridge, a human female in what appeared to be a formal uniform, though far simpler than council military dress. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth's Combined Defense Force. We apologize for the dramatic introduction, but we've learned through observation that the Council responds best to demonstrations of capability rather than mere declarations." Xena found her voice. "You've been watching us." "Of course." Admiral Chen smiled. "Did you think those primitive satellites were our actual observation network? Every probe you've sent to our system over the last century was detected, analyzed, and allowed to report exactly what we wanted you to see. But why? If you possess this level of technology, why maintain the appearance of a pre-spaceflight civilization? Protection, partially, but mostly preparation. We've watched how the Council integrates new species. Your standardized technological development protocols, while well-intentioned, stifle innovation. We chose to develop on our own terms." A subtle vibration ran through Xena's ship as some systems reactivated. "We're restoring partial function to your fleet," Chen explained. "Enough for you to return to Council space with proof of our existence. We're ready to join the galactic community, but on our terms. We will not be standardized." As her sensors came back online, Xena realized the true extent of her miscalculation. The primitive satellites weren't Earth's defense network. They were decoys. The real network was quantum entangled, invisible to conventional detection. The scattered ground conflicts weren't signs of disunity. They were training exercises, keeping their military sharp while maintaining their primitive appearance. Every sign of technological backwardness had been carefully crafted theater. "The Council will have questions," Zena said. "We look forward to answering them." Chen's hologram smiled again. "But first, you might want to watch your left flank. The temporal suspension field is about to release those missiles you detected earlier. Don't worry, they're set to detonate harmlessly against your shields. Consider it a final demonstration." Right on cue, the missiles reappeared, exploding in a spectacular but ultimately harmless display. As Senna watched the light show, she realized that the galaxy's balance of power had just shifted dramatically. Humanity hadn't just developed in isolation. They'd revolutionized warfare itself, wielding time as a weapon while the Council still debated its theoretical possibilities. The age of standardized technological advancement was over. The humans had ensured that. And this was just their introduction. The hidden arsenal. The Zarkax Federation's War Council gathered in their orbital citadel, holographic displays showing Earth from multiple angles. Supreme Commander Vextil's scaled skin rippled with anticipation as he addressed the assembled military leaders. "The Council's first contact was a disaster," he growled, massive claws tapping against the tactical display. "They approached with diplomacy and were humiliated. We will show these humans true galactic power." His subordinates chittered in agreement. The Zarkax had built their empire through military might, absorbing or eliminating dozens of younger species. Earth's defiance of Council protocols could not go unchallenged. "Our analysis suggests their temporal manipulation technology requires massive power generation," General Kirax reported. "By striking multiple targets simultaneously, we can overwhelm their defensive capabilities." The invasion fleet assembled at the edge of Sol system. 5,000 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent. As they approached Earth orbit, long-range scanners detected no significant military buildup. The same primitive satellites observed by the Council still circled the planet. Supreme Commander Vextil bared his fangs in what passed for a smile among his species. "Begin the attack. Show them what real power looks like." The first wave of Zarkax fighters streaked toward Earth's atmosphere. On the tactical display, they appeared as thousands of red dots converging on the blue planet. Then the dots started disappearing. Not in the clean, precise way the Council's systems had been disabled. These ships were being destroyed. But by what? Energy spike detected. A sensor operator screamed. It's coming from their moon." The lunar surface rippled like water, revealing what appeared to be an artificial construct spanning nearly a quarter of the satellite's surface. Before the Zarkax fleet could react, lances of purple energy erupted from multiple points on the structure. But these weren't conventional energy weapons. Where they struck, space itself seemed to fold, creating localized singularities that swallowed entire squadrons of ships. "Impossible," Vextil whispered. "They weaponized gravitational manipulation." Transmission cut through their command frequencies. "This is Earth Defense Command to Zarkax invasion fleet." That was a warning shot. "The lunar defense grid is set to minimum power. Would you like to see what it does at full capacity?" Vextil snarled, pride overwhelming caution. "Press the attack. They cannot defend against all of us." The remaining ships surged forward and met Earth's second line of defense. What had appeared to be debris in Earth orbit suddenly activated, revealing themselves as autonomous combat platforms. Each one generated quantum field disruptions that caused Zarkax weapons to malfunction, shields to collapse, and navigation systems to fail. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, voice shaking, "we're detecting similar platforms appearing throughout the fleet. They're growing themselves using matter converted from our own weapons fire. Self-replicating quantum-based autonomous weapons. The humans hadn't just mastered temporal manipulation. They'd learned to harness the fundamental forces of reality as defensive tools. But the true revelation came when the Zarkak's fleet reached what they thought was their effective firing range. Energy readings make no sense, the science officer reported. The space between us and the target. It's not behaving according to normal physics. Explain, Vextil demanded. They've altered the fundamental constants within that region of space. Our weapons, sir, our weapons would need 10 times their current power just to traverse the distance. A new voice joined the command channel. Elderly, calm, almost grandfatherly. This is Dr. James Morrison, Earth Defense Science Division. Fascinating, isn't it? We call it localized physics modification. Quite useful for defensive purposes. Your weapons are still technically functional. They just need to work a bit harder to reach us. The casual way the human explained their manipulation of reality's basic laws sent chills through Vextil's scales. What are you? He demanded. Just a species that took a different path, Morrison replied. While others raced to the stars, we looked inward, studying the fabric of reality itself. While the Council standardized technology, we explored possibilities they deemed too dangerous or impractical. Vextil watched helplessly as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by defenses that seemed to defy reality itself. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were conducting a demonstration, methodically showing the full scope of their capabilities. Your remaining ships have 2 minutes to retreat, Morrison continued, still in that calm, professorial tone. After that, we begin testing our more experimental defensive systems. Fair warning, we're not entirely sure what some of them do. As the shattered remnants of his fleet retreated in panic, Vextil realized that the galaxy's understanding of warfare had been fundamentally changed. The humans hadn't just defeated them. They'd rendered traditional military doctrine obsolete. And somewhere on that blue planet below, they were probably already developing something even more extraordinary. Diplomatic shockwaves. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 400 species packed the vast chamber, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of evolutionary paths. At the center, High Counselor Zaraven, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, called for order. We face an unprecedented situation, she announced, her form pulsing with concerned colors. The humans have not only revealed capabilities beyond our understanding, but have demonstrated them in ways that challenge the very foundation of our technological hierarchy. The assembly erupted in overlapping voices, each species trying to make their concerns heard. The Zarkak's delegation was notably absent, their humiliating defeat still sending shockwaves through galactic society. Ambassador Thex of the Mindweaver Collective raised their primary appendage. The humans claimed to have been observing us for centuries. How did we not detect them? Our psychic network spans the galaxy. Because we chose not to be detected. A new voice answered. The assembly fell silent as Dr. Elena Santos, Earth's first official ambassador, walked calmly to the central platform. She wore a simple blue suit that seemed to shimmer slightly, the only hint that it might be more than ordinary fabric. Your psychic network is impressive, she continued, but it operates on principles you discovered and standardized centuries ago. We explored alternative methods of consciousness. To demonstrate, she projected her thoughts, not through the standard psychic frequencies used by the Council races, but through what appeared to be localized quantum entanglement of neural patterns. The entire assembly gasped as they received perfectly clear images and concepts, unaffected by any known form of psychic shielding. Impossible, Thex whispered. Quantum effects cannot be maintained in organic brains. They can't be maintained in brains as you understand them, Helena corrected. But when you combine biological evolution with guided quantum engineering over several generations, she let the implication hang in the air. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form vibrated with concern. You've been modifying your own species. We've been improving ourselves, Elena clarified. Always carefully, always with full understanding of the implications. While the Council chose to standardize evolution to prevent dangerous mutations, we embraced controlled advancement. The Tech Arch representative, a being more machine than organic, spoke next. Our analysis of your lunar defense system suggests technologies that violate multiple Council safety protocols. The energy requirements alone are perfectly manageable, Elena interrupted. When you stop thinking in terms of traditional power generation, she gestured, and a holographic display appeared, showing complex equations that made even the most advanced Council scientists stare in confusion. You're harvesting energy from quantum fluctuations in spacetime itself, one scientist realized, their voice filled with equal parts horror and admiration. Among other sources, Elena confirmed, we found that the universe offers many more opportunities for energy extraction than conventional models suggest. You just have to be willing to look beyond established theories. The assembly descended into chaos again as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just developed alternative technologies. They'd discovered entirely new principles of physics, biology, and consciousness that the Council had overlooked in their rush to standardize galactic development. This brings us to the purpose of my visit, Elena said, her voice cutting through the noise. Earth is prepared to share some of our discoveries. Not all. We believe societies need to develop at their own pace, but enough to demonstrate that the Council's standardized development path, while safe, has led to technological stagnation. She activated another hologram, this one showing a detailed analysis of Council technology over the past 1,000 years. Your progress has slowed dramatically since implementing standardized development protocols. Innovation has been replaced by refinement. You've traded discovery for predictability. Those protocols prevent disasters, someone shouted. They keep civilizations from destroying themselves. They also prevent breakthroughs, Helena countered. Yes, Earth's path was risky. We had our share of setbacks and near disasters, but we learned from each one, grew stronger, more resilient. We didn't just survive our mistakes. We evolved because of them. High Councilor Ven's form stabilized into a deep blue of decision. You propose to change the very foundation of galactic society. We propose to wake it up, Elena corrected. The galaxy faces threats you haven't yet discovered, challenges your standardized technology cannot meet. Earth's development path wasn't just about military power, it was preparation. The chamber fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. Humanity hadn't revealed themselves solely to prevent invasion or establish diplomatic relations. They were trying to prepare the galaxy for something bigger. What threats? Ven asked quietly. What have you discovered? Elena's expression grew serious. That's our next discussion. But first, you need to understand what your standardization protocols have cost you. Are you ready to see what lies beyond your carefully constructed boundaries? As the assembly waited for her revelation, not a single being noticed the subtle quantum fluctuations beginning to ripple through nearby space, the first signs that humanity's warnings about greater threats were about to be proven devastatingly correct. The turning point. The quantum disturbance hit without warning. Across 50 light-years of space, reality itself seemed to shudder. On thousands of worlds, advanced technology simply stopped working. Ships fell from orbit. Communications went dark. The carefully maintained order of the Galactic Council collapsed in moments. In the Council's emergency command center, High Councilor Ven watched in horror as reports flooded in from surviving systems. It's impossible, she whispered, her crystalline form clouded with fear. Nothing could affect such a vast region of space simultaneously. Not nothing, Elena Santos corrected, her calm demeanor unchanged as she studied the readings. Something we've been preparing for since we first detected its approach 3 centuries ago. We call it the Void Storm. The human ambassador activated a complex holographic display, showing patterns of disturbance that made the Council's best scientists recoil in confusion. The very fabric of spacetime was being unraveled, quantum fields collapsing in cascading waves of destruction. This is why we developed our technology differently, Alina explained. Why we explored paths the Council deemed too dangerous. We needed weapons and defenses that could work when reality itself becomes unreliable. As if to demonstrate her point, Earth's defensive systems remained fully operational despite the quantum chaos spreading through nearby space. The lunar defense grid pulsed with strange energies, actually seeming to stabilize local spacetime. How? Demanded Thex of the Mindweaver Collective. Even your advanced technology should be affected by this level of quantum disruption. Because we don't just use quantum effects, we learned to surf them. A new figure entered the command center, Dr. Marcus Chen, Earth's leading expert on dimensional physics. Our technology doesn't fight against quantum uncertainty. It adapts to it, flows with it, uses its chaotic nature to power itself. He gestured at the displays showing failing council systems. Your standardized technology requires stable quantum states to function. Ours thrives on uncertainty. It's less efficient in normal space, which is why we appeared primitive to your sensors. But in conditions like this, he smiled grimly. This is what we built it for. The displays showed Earth ships moving through the quantum storm as if it barely existed, their hybrid drives actually drawing power from the disruption itself. Where Council weapons failed, human temporal manipulators and gravity lenses cut through the chaos with devastating effectiveness. The void storm isn't a natural phenomenon, Alina continued. It's a weapon, or more accurately, the side effect of a weapon. Something is trying to reshape our reality, and this disruption is just the precursor wave. Something. Ven pressed. You know what's causing this. We have theories. Alina's expression grew darker. We've detected patterns in the quantum collapse that suggest intelligence. Not life as we understand it, but entities that exist in the spaces between realities. We think they're trying to make our universe more compatible with their form of existence. By destroying ours, Marcus added. The good news is we've been developing countermeasures since we first detected the signs. The bad news is we can't implement them alone. We need the Council race's help, not your current technology, but your potential. He produced a data crystal containing information that made the Council's best scientists gasp in amazement. These are the basic principles behind our quantum adaptive technology. Not everything. You'll need to discover some of it yourselves to truly understand it, but enough to start developing your own methods of fighting back. This will mean abandoning centuries of standardized development, Ven observed. It means remembering how to innovate, Alina corrected. Every species in this room evolved by overcoming challenges, by adapting to survive. The Council's standardization protocols were meant to prevent disasters, but they also prevented the growth that comes from facing and overcoming them. As if to emphasize her point, another wave of quantum disruption rolled through nearby space. Council systems failed catastrophically, but Earth's defenses adapted and grew stronger, learning from each new pattern of attack. We don't have time for gradual change, Marcus announced. The void storm is just the beginning. Either the galaxy remembers how to evolve and adapt, or what's coming next will remold our reality into something incompatible with our existence. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't hidden their true capabilities out of fear or aggression. They'd been preparing the galaxy's last line of defense against a threat the Council's standardized approach could never have anticipated. How long do we have? Ven asked quietly. Alina's response was interrupted by new alarms. The quantum disruption was intensifying, and something vast was beginning to take shape in the chaos. Something that existed in dimensions the Council had never even theorized about. The real war for reality was about to begin. New galactic order. The entity that emerged from the quantum storm defied description. It existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, its very presence warping the laws of physics. Traditional sensors couldn't even detect it. They simply stopped working as reality broke down around them. But humanity's quantum adaptive technology saw it clearly. In the Earth Defense Command Center, now serving as the headquarters for the combined galactic response. Dr. Marcus Chen's displays showed the true horror of what they faced. It's not just one entity, he explained to the assembled council leaders. It's a collective consciousness spread across multiple dimensional planes. Every point where it touches our reality creates another quantum disruption zone. The tactical displays showed thousands of contact points spreading across the galaxy, each one creating a sphere of twisted physics where conventional technology failed completely. Council worlds were going dark one by one, their defenses useless against an enemy that could simply rewrite the rules of existence. Now you understand why we developed our technology the way we did, Elena Santos said, her quantum-enhanced consciousness allowing her to perceive the entity's true form. We couldn't just build better weapons, we had to create systems that could adapt when reality itself became unreliable. High Counselor Ven's crystalline form pulsed with determination. Tell us what you need from us. The council races stand ready. We need you to forget everything you know about standardized technology, Marcus replied. Each species needs to draw on their unique evolutionary advantages, combine them with the principles we shared. The entity doesn't just attack physical reality. It responds to consciousness, to innovation, to the very concept of existence itself. Across the galaxy, the response began. The Mindweaver Collective, freed from council restrictions, discovered they could extend their psychic network into quantum states, creating zones of stable reality through pure thought. The crystalline then used their natural resonance patterns to generate counter-frequencies that disrupted the entity's dimensional intrusions. Earth's defense platforms, previously disguised as simple satellites, revealed their true nature. Each one was a quantum consciousness engine, designed to generate fields of structured reality that the entity couldn't easily corrupt. The lunar defense grid powered up to full capacity for the first time, creating a lattice of stabilized space-time that spread across the solar system. But the entity was learning, adapting. Each failed attempt to corrupt reality made it stronger, more focused. Traditional military tactics were worse than useless. They simply gave it more energy to work with. We need to think differently, Elena announced. We're not just fighting an enemy. We're fighting an alternative form of existence. Instead of trying to destroy it, we need to teach it. Marcus finished, his eyes lighting up with understanding. Show it that our reality has value, that corruption isn't the only path to evolution. The quantum consciousness engines were reprogrammed, no longer focusing on defense but on communication. Earth's centuries of exploring alternative paths of development had given them unique insight into how consciousness could bridge dimensional barriers. The entity's attack slowed, then stopped as it encountered something it had never experienced before, a form of existence that could adapt and change without needing to destroy what came before. Humanity's quantum-enhanced consciousness reached across the dimensional barrier, showing the entity memories of Earth's development, the triumphs and failures, the near disasters and breakthrough moments that had shaped their unique approach to technology and existence. Other species joined in, each adding their own evolutionary stories to the quantum narrative. The entity began to respond, not with destruction but with curiosity. Its touch on reality changed from corrupting to questioning. It's working, Elena breathed, her consciousness intertwined with the quantum network. It's beginning to understand. Our reality isn't an obstacle to be removed. It's another path of evolution, another way of existing. The quantum storm began to recede. Where it touched now, it left behind not destruction but transformation. Zones where multiple forms of reality could coexist, each enriching the other. The entity hadn't been evil. It had simply never encountered a form of existence that could adapt without needing to overwrite what came before. In the aftermath, the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's standardization protocols were replaced with a new approach, one that encouraged diversity in development while maintaining safety through understanding rather than restriction. Each species was free to explore their own path, sharing discoveries through a network of quantum consciousness that bridged not just space but dimensional barriers. Humanity's role changed too. No longer hiding their capabilities, they became teachers and guides, helping other species understand how to develop their own unique approaches to technology and existence. The Lunar Defense Grid was repurposed as the galaxy's first quantum collaboration hub, where species could safely experiment with new forms of reality manipulation. "We were right to prepare as we did," Elena told the Council during the formal dissolution of the standardization protocols. "But we were preparing for the wrong kind of war. The real victory wasn't in fighting the unknown. It was in learning to understand it, adapt to it, grow with it." As she spoke, new quantum signatures appeared at the edge of known space. More entities, drawn not by the chance to corrupt, but by the opportunity to learn and evolve. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where the boundaries between different forms of existence were not barriers to be fought over, but bridges to be explored. Humanity had done more than save the galaxy. They had shown it a new way to grow.